Located 18 miles away from Houston, Texas, is a city called Pasadena, a place that hosts just over 150,000 people. As one of the largest cities in Harris County, Pasadena offers a diverse culture, thriving industries, and a close-knit community. It's also been dubbed the strawberry capital of the world. With its lively festivals, outdoor attractions, and commitment to education, Pasadena offers a welcoming and affordable lifestyle. If you ask the locals, they'll tell you it's a great place to raise a family. Sadly, its recent headlines would be due to a tragedy that would occur in the year of 2022. An ex-college football player would do the unthinkable, and when the smoke cleared, there would be more questions than answers. July 24th, 1998. The world would make way for Chrisheena Lee. She would be born to parents Christopher Lee and Miyoshi O'Neal. The place that she would call home would be Houston, Texas. From early on in life, she's described as a sweet soul, someone with a bright smile. She was one of those people who could provide a smile in your time of need. She also had a goofy side and was really into comedy. By the time Chrisheena reached high school, she had grew into someone that people had come to love. She's described as smart, someone who is driven, someone who was also into dancing, fashion, and hanging out with friends and family. Shortly after graduation, she would welcome a daughter into this world, a daughter who she would name Casey. When her daughter entered this world, she would become her entire focus. But although she had a daughter, that didn't stop her from pursuing her education. She would go to school and often work odd jobs to take care of her, such as being a security guard. By the year of 2022, Chrisheena Lee would be 23 years old, going on 24. By now, she's working as a dental assistant, and she's even back with the father of her child, a man whom she had had an on and off again relationship with. The guy she was with was 22-year-old Bobby Wolf, an ex-Arizona college football player. By the year of 2022, Bobby Wolf and Chrisheena Lee would be living together in an apartment that belonged to Chrisheena. Now at this time, Bobby is unemployed, but Chrisheena Lee made enough to maintain the bills, so she was essentially taking care of him while he was trying to get his things together. Life for Chrisheena at this point seemed great. She was a dental assistant, although she was still in school to become a pharmaceutical tech. She also has a daughter who now is 2 years old, and she's with the father of a child. So, inside of this apartment, they seem like one big happy family. But something was soon to happen that would put that into question. July 11th, 2022. At approximately 3:30 a.m., authorities would be dispatched to the Mosaic Apartments, located in Pasadena, Texas. At this time, the authorities were responding to a call made by Bobby Wolf. During this phone call, Bobby would alert the authorities that he had just mistaken Chrisheena for an intruder, and during the process, he had harmed her. When the authorities arrived on the scene and entered the home, they would find Chrisheena Lee suffering from gunshot wounds. But also on the scene would be her boyfriend, Bobby Wolf. Chrisheena would be immediately rushed to the hospital, while her boyfriend would be detained for further questioning. Upon being questioned, the authorities would ask him to go over the information one more time. He would tell the authorities that he was awakened out of his sleep due to a noise sounding like someone was breaking through the front door. He says he gets up, he grabs his firearm, and in the heat of the moment, he accidentally shoots his girlfriend. The police would describe Bobby on that night as cooperative. They said anything they needed, he provided. And on that night, they would come to the conclusion that they found nothing to contradict his story. But although he seemed like he was being cooperative, the crime scene was still being analyzed, and forensics would have the final say-so. The only good thing in this situation is that Chrisheena's daughter, 2-year-old Casey, was not present at the home at the time. She would be with the relatives of Bobby Wolf. 22-year-old Bobby Wolf would indeed be taken to jail that night, but it wasn't for the charges against his girlfriend. He had a few outstanding traffic warrants that needed attention. So while he was being hauled down to the jail for that, word would come in that Chrisheena Lee didn't survive this altercation. While at the hospital, the paramedics would try their best to resuscitate her, but sadly, she would be pronounced deceased shortly after arrival, which would turn this case into an official death investigation. An autopsy would be conducted on the body of Chrisheena Lee, and they would come to find that she had succumbed to 6 gunshot wounds. But even at the time of the autopsy, the authorities were still leaning on the story that this was a total accident and that Bobby Wolf thought she was an intruder. During the investigation of the scene, they would find damage to the front door of the home. Now, they don't know whether this damage was new or old, but the damage did look like someone tried to break in. Now, when they pair that with Bobby Wolf's story, at this point the authorities are thinking, well, this guy must be being truthful, and this was a total accident. But the family says otherwise, and honestly, it's for good reason. Although during the background check of Bobby Wolf, they didn't find any violence in his history, the family says that that couple did have a history of domestic violence. The family describes this relationship as nothing short of tumultuous. Family members say that Chrisheena Lee would describe Bobby Wolf as a stalker, someone who was basically wreaking havoc on her home. They say that Chrisheena Lee was in the process of breaking things off, but Bobby Wolf wouldn't take no for an answer. In fact, no one outside of Bobby Wolf's family believed that this was an accident, and they believe this was premeditated, and that on that night, he set out to take her life.
The family of a 23-year-old woman who was shot and killed by her boyfriend in Pasadena speaking out tonight. The boyfriend telling police he opened fire because he thought there was an intruder in their apartment.
Brittany Ford talks to the victim's family, who say they are buying his story because it was an abusive relationship. Brittany.
Family members of Chrisheena Lee describe the 23-year-old as...
She was a mother, a great mother. She was a great friend, a great cousin, a great person overall. She was just a human being that's compassionate. So that was her.
Police say the young mother was shot by her boyfriend, Bobby Wolf, early Tuesday morning at this apartment the couple shared on Burke Road in Pasadena.
It was a history of domestic violence. If they can get into her phone, they will see the pictures from the black eye, they can see the text messages, they can see all that.
Police say Wolf claims he heard a break-in at the door when he opened fire. Investigators say damage to the door was found, but it's unclear if it was due to an actual break-in. A story Lee's family isn't buying.
If you really an intruder, you ain't fit to make it through the front door. And to be shot 6 times, that's overkill. Like, no, that don't add up. His story don't add up since day one.
The authorities would take their testimony into consideration. But when they ultimately filed charges, it wouldn't be a murder charge. 22-year-old Bobby Wolf would be charged with manslaughter. And with him being charged with manslaughter, the authorities were basically saying he wasn't culpable, that they still believe the story that this was a complete accident, but evidence suggests otherwise. On the night that 23-year-old Chrisheena Lee would lose her life, evidence kind of pointed in a different direction. Inside of the home, the authorities would find a series of bullet holes, but the majority of those bullet holes were going through the bathroom door. Now, on that night, Bobby Wolf says he heard an intruder and that he was basically defending the home. But if we're being honest, I have never heard of anyone breaking into a home and going straight to the bathroom. The fact that Chrisheena Lee was shot inside of the bathroom raises major red flags. But that's not the only thing that's off. I think the number of shots fired itself is questionable. Even if Bobby Wolf did think on that night that there was an intruder, firing 6 shots seems a little bit excessive, especially when after the first 1 or 2 shots, you would immediately realize who you were hitting. So, in the end, I have to be honest, I'm not sure I'm buying this story. It seems off and definitely needs to be investigated more. Currently, Bobby Wolf is undergoing his trial process, in which he's charged with manslaughter. But let me explain why I think they charged him with that charge. To substantiate a charge of murder, they need sufficient evidence. But on that night, they did find evidence of forced entry, which only contributed to his story. But they also need a witness. But there were only 2 people in that home on that night. 23-year-old Chrisheena Lee and 22-year-old Bobby Wolf. And one of them isn't here to testify. Now, I have to say that in regards to the supposed evidence of forced entry, again, I'll state, they couldn't tell whether that was new or old. But if the family is being truthful, that this relationship was tumultuous and there was domestic violence going on, as well as him being a stalker, that damage could easily be contributed to him trying to break in on a separate occasion. Because again, I must remind you, this apartment belonged to Chrisheena. And if they were in an on and off again relationship, when they break up, he's the one who has to go. And disgruntled ex-boyfriends breaking inside of their ex-girlfriend's home is nothing new. In my opinion, I feel like the investigators kind of got this wrong, because if the evidence that was submitted to the public is true, this is nothing short of murder. But due to the judicial system, it's not about what you think. It's all about what can you prove. And again, with no witness to testify what truly happened, the authorities are forced to believe the story of Bobby Wolf. Hearing this case and the details of it, what do you think? Do you think this was an accident, or was it murder?
Now to the new details about the deadly shooting of a woman in Pasadena. A former University of Arizona football player has now been charged with manslaughter.
Bobby Wolf told investigators that he thought his live-in girlfriend was an intruder and shot her several times. KPRC2's Bill Spencer is live with the new developments in this case. Bill.
Keith and Daniela, Pasadena police officers say that Bobby Wolf was very talkative with them when they arrived at his apartment yesterday. They say he told them that he accidentally shot his live-in girlfriend multiple times, thinking she was a burglar. Tonight, he is behind bars on a $500,000 bond.
Bobby Wolf, charged with a second-degree felony offense of manslaughter.
22-year-old Bobby Wolf, a former football star at Madison High School in Houston, is a long way from the football fame he earned just a few years ago. Tonight, he's locked up and facing manslaughter charges in the shooting death of his live-in girlfriend, Chrisheena Lee. Pasadena police saying They got an emergency call yesterday morning, just before 3:30 a.m., from Wolf, stating he had accidentally shot his girlfriend multiple times.
Subject believed that there was an intruder into his apartment. He discharged his weapon several times and ended up striking his live-in girlfriend, inside the apartment.
Police investigators say Bobby Wolf, who played football at the University of Arizona, told them the shooting was all an accident, that he never meant to shoot his girlfriend, that in fact, he fired through a wall thinking he was shooting at an intruder in the night. But this man, Johnny White, tells KPRC2 News that several times over just the past 2 months, he's seen Wolf fighting with his girlfriend outside on their balcony.
I've witnessed at least an altercation between the two. There's pushing, shoving going on in the balcony, and eventually it would always get resolved by the mother.
And this woman, who lives right next door to Bobby and his girlfriend, says Chrisheena told her daughter she wanted to get out of that apartment.
I just know she was wanting to move. She told my daughter that she wanted to move because my daughter had a moving truck. She asked if that was their moving truck, her moving truck, and she wanted to know if they could help her move.
Amen.
You can't take that away from her.
Happy birthday, baby.
Thank y'all so much for coming out here just to show how much we love her and how much she meant to us. When he did what he did, he took away a sister, a mother, a granddaughter, a daughter. Like, he just took so much away from us.
A cousin, all that.
But it's okay, though, because God had a plan. We don't know what it is, but we know he had a plan.
Yeah.
So, again, this is us just celebrating her life.
Happy birthday, baby.
Yesterday when the preacher talked, I asked my baby, I said, baby, show me your son. I said, just show me something.
My daughter today, we love you. We love you. Miss you. I done fell down at work. I done fell down at my house. Bust my whole eye open almost. We love you, baby. I want you to know that the family here today, let you know that we love you. And there'll never be another Chrisheena.
Ever. Ever.
Smile like yours. A hug like yours.
Amen.
Wishing on getting out work today and coming to see what you was doing for your birthday today, girl. But
we got you.
Besides, please take care of the rest of our family.
Amen.
Brothers, the fathers, my little cousins out here.
Right.
Besides, Chrisheena, Lamontrese, you up there in that L. We love you, baby.
We love ya. Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Give me a hug, girl.
Oh, man.
What happened to 23-year-old Chrisheena Lee is completely heartbreaking. And to have to leave behind her 2-year-old daughter is even worse. But that's not where the story ends. Because as I stated, on the night that Chrisheena Lee lost her life, her daughter Casey wasn't inside of the home. She was, in fact, with the relatives of Bobby Wolf. And after this transpired, Bobby Wolf's relatives ran off with 2-year-old Casey and wasn't letting the family see her. They were moving frequently, changing their phone numbers. All of this just to keep Casey away from the family of Chrisheena, when all they wanted was to spend time with the only thing she left behind, her 2-year-old daughter. In this situation, I hope that they get that worked out through the court system and that both sides are allowed to see the child, because now she's initially in the middle of a family feud, which is even more heartbreaking. Rest in peace, Chrisheena Lee. At this point in time, I usually say, I hope you receive the justice that you deserve. But with him being charged with manslaughter and the evidence suggesting otherwise, I'm not so sure that'll happen.